Hey, welcome back to Tweet the Leader New, where we talk about realistic leadership theories. Today, it's just me and Templeton again. How you doing, Templeton?
Hey Josh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Templeton, today we're talking about the educational system. So, in terms of your thoughts on the educational system, we'll get into that in a second. But I kind of wanted to talk about this in terms of school, what we want education to look like, or what we think education should look like in the future and what it is now.
Mhm.
Along with maybe some pitfalls and some strengths of the educational system. So we'll get right into it here. So my first question to you was, what do you think of the current educational system, and in terms of high school, middle school, stuff like that? So excluding like university, but you can go into university if you do choose to. Do you think that's like
Awesome, awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, for me, I feel that I can touch on because in the Canadian system, I can touch on the university system from a global perspective with the primary and secondary system, school system. I can touch on from both perspectives. Me coming from the Bahamas, the educational system is good quality education where students are provided with youth opportunities and experiential learning and stuff like that. And I feel that that's the same here in the Canadian system as well. There's a lot of different areas of growth where they get the opportunity to do different skill development, on the job training.
hmm
I think that watching the Canadian system, high schoolers are definitely on the job quicker than I thought. They are definitely learning. They're definitely looking for a job at the age at grade 11 or grade 12, sometimes at grade
yeah,
10. They're actually going into that on the job training, which is really good. It gives them the good educational learning of, hey, what do I want to do when I grow up? Because sometimes it's really hard to think about, okay, what do I want to be when I grow up? How do I want to connect? And I feel what the educational system do well is giving them options. And I'm happy that in academia, from a university perspective, that they go into the high schools earlier to give perspective on what pathways that they can learn. And I think NSCC, Dalhousie, Mountain Vincent University, NASCAT, all those institutions offer a variety of options. And I think learning from unique students, there's a lot of art students who have a lot of artsy background, which is really good. And I'm grateful that NASCAT exists to give those students the ability to express their artistic abilities. In NSCC, where would NSCC be without their trades program and giving other students? Because I've heard from colleagues whose children have done like trades, like for example, auto parts. Like they're going to actually to mechanic shops, doing their weekends, spending their weekends on trying to fix a car, and then so it's really good. I must say the educational system here and also in the Bahamas is really good right now. But there is always room for improvement for sure. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And I thought it was cool to talk to you too because of that reason. You have the experience with both sides there.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
so I kind of what I wanted to get into too is like I only have experience with the Nova Scotia school system, and I think as
Yeah.
much as it is good, I think they focus a lot on results rather than
Yeah.
expression and um, expression and experimenting with different things. I think a lot of the
Yeah.
pitfalls of the school system here is that you get ranked based on like your test scores, and a lot of it has to do with
Mm,
the results and the numbers that you get. And I think going through obviously school, secondary school in Nova Scotia, I think there's a lack of self-expression. I think there's a lack of where the results take precedence over all the other stuff. Would you agree with that?
I kind of disagree sometimes
Okay.
when we have different I call them structural barriers in place to limit a student from potentially moving forward in different areas. Like sometimes test results, they do determine someone from going to institutions,
Hmm.
certain institutions, and also from participating in certain different ways, which have the student having to face different pathways for them to move forward. I think institutions are doing better with the pathways on creating those for students who don't make the academic grade level, grade performance and stuff like that. And that's similar in the Bahamas. Like there's different pathways. If you, I think the Bahamas is getting really high in demand on. There's a national examination that's called BJC and BGCSE. I think that's the correct acronym.
Okay.
Bahamas Junior Certificate, and then the Bahamas Government Secondary Education Certificate. I think that's what the other one it
Okay.
stands for, but it's basically you have to pass those examinations, and they have different subjects in English, mathematics, science, biology, and all those stuff. And so those examinations, thousands of students are in one room from different schools, and they're taking that examinations and stuff like that. And so it's really huge, where those examinations they test whether a person can be in a certain job post or a certain industry level, which puts barriers on how this person can pursue. But I think right now it's changing. I've looked at certain um, education or job description per se. And I think that I'm seeing a little bit of they're not looking at the BJCSC, they're looking at the education, they're looking at the volunteerism, and they're looking at the experience that the individual have, which is good because at a certain level we have to take that out. And I think that was some of the barriers that's being faced. And I feel that in the Canadian system, I think that is similar in some ways, that the national examination is always put in the way of students gaining access to different other opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1000%, I think. Along with other barriers, I think are maybe a lack of needs and interests of the students themselves. And that's not to say
Mm,
that like you can just tailor make school to be like this is exactly what you should be taught. I think having a standardized version of what is taught is good. I don't think it's like a
mm-hmm,
downfall of the school system itself, but I think maybe the material within it can be
mm-hmm,
improved. And I think overcrowding of schools is also an issue in terms of some kids definitely get put to the wayside, um,
yeah.
where I don't know if they are deemed, not smart enough or something, then they kind of get pushed and then pushed, and that can lead into problems in the future. But in general, I do 100% agree with you. Kind of my last question, Templeton, I wanted to talk to you about is what do you think, or what do you hope education looks like in 10 years, or maybe even 30 years if you want to go further? Is there something in particular you hope
Mm.
that it improves at, or are you kind of happy with how the education system is currently?
Josh, this is actually a great question. The transition is always important as students transition from high school to university, from university to the workplace. Um, the transition is never smooth. I feel that it's always hard as university, as secondary schools, students go into tertiary education, and they're still figuring out what they want to do. As to, and it's good. I always say it's good to have that balance. I feel that students should at least have one full year or a year, the half of grade 11, but the whole of grade 12 to think about their career, their educational options, but also allowing them to explore that in different ways, whether it's through taking a course. In that, I feel like if universities can partner with high school students to take actually a course
Yeah, I couldn't
of
agree
their
more.
interest.
Hmm.
I think that will definitely give a student an opportunity to say, "Oh, do I really want to go into this pathway? Does
Thousand
this
percent.
interest me?" Giving them just an introduction to that course. will be very helpful in helping them to expand their thoughts. And then that's transitioning them into university life or into the trades program, whatever they want to do. And I think that there are certain things in place that students do get the opportunity to be exposed in that area. But I
Yeah.
feel from a course learning perspective, I think there should be an introduction course that's partnered from the university perspective to the secondary school. Um, Transition from university to work life. I think that definitely universities have to partner with employers and or employment organizations more when it comes down to transitioning in the workplace. The universities, they do well in actually providing the resources, but they don't do well in promoting the resources
Okay.
that's offered to transitioning students out of the university life. And I feel that that's something that could be better improved on its resources that they're offering. And always change it up. Don't do the same thing, or yes, you're doing the same annual conference, but don't like add another level of taste to that annual conference that you're offering
Right.
for students to gain more of that experiential learning and stuff like that. Take it to another level and stuff like that. So always good to think about that, which is really important. Yeah,
Okay, that's very
yeah,
interesting, and
yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more, honestly. Like all the
yeah.
points you made in terms of transitioning over from school to work. And there
Mm-hmm.
is programs out there, like you're right, there is programs out there at school in terms of like getting you experience before you go to school to see what you like. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking on the name, but there is a few programs for
Yeah.
that. And I didn't know about the university thing that you were saying where they just don't promote it very well in terms of
Mm-hmm.
work. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that
Yeah.
conversation for sure, Tim. Tim, and maybe this is something that we can come back to at some point with a guest, maybe someone from the
Yeah.
educational system or something like that for sure.
Yeah, I
But
think
either,
we will knock on the doors of different academia
yeah,
profs and try to have a conversation with them on this topic for sure. Yeah,
yeah, for sure. But it was very nice to catch up with you for sure and talk about this topic.
yeah,
And for all of you out there listening, thanks for joining us again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next upcoming videos.